check. What is? Oh, I need to shave. Yeah, I should shave. Yeah, it's yo, my dudes. How you doing? What's up, YouTube? Does that cover it? I don't know. Hello. How you doing today? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is that you're watching this video. Hope you are doing well. Today I wanted to talk about the coronavirus, the impact that it is having on our lives, talking about how, you know, as children of God, how we can bring hope to this situation. So of course, when I'm looking at role models for who I think can bring hope, you know, I think of the President of the United States. And currently, that man is President Trump. I'll be honest, I am not the biggest fan of President Trump. You know, I think that there's a lot of issues there when it comes to the quality of his leadership. That being said, look, I'm not gonna say he hasn't done anything good in the last 4 years. There's a lot of things that I disagree with, but there are also good things to be found. For the first time in the last 7 days, you know, I've heard him talk about things like, you know, we are in this together. I don't think I've ever heard him use that phrase over the course of his presidency, but of course, if I'm mistaken, please feel free to let me know. But that definitely caught my attention, and it's really great that he is saying things like,
people are getting along. We're getting along with Republicans and Democrats and independents and liberals and conservatives, and actually it's a very nice thing to say. We're all one beautiful big American family.
but then at the same time,
Chinese virus.
No, God!
Chinese.
No, God, please, no! No! No!
what are we talking about here? Just what are viruses are ethnic now? What I mean, do we have white viruses and black viruses, Chinese viruses? Like, what is that? What is that? That's a thing now? You know, I went to the doctor because I was feeling sick, and the doctor told me, yeah, I am sick. Of all the bulls?
No!
So we're going to talk about some serious things today, and maybe I should just start off with there's hope to be found in this situation by viewing it through the lens of Scripture. So let's start from the beginning. In Genesis, Abraham is having a conversation with God in a position I think that we would all love to be in, just to be able to call up God and say, hey, yo, I got a few questions. And Abraham is talking to God about the pending destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. There's a list of questions that Abraham goes through, and he talks about, will you sweep away the righteous along with the wicked? And that's a question that still plagues us today. You know, we talk about, why does God allow suffering? I think that we can try to look at the answer to those kinds of questions through this bit of Scripture, where Abraham asks God, and he says, well, you know, would you destroy the city if there's only 50 righteous people? And God says, no, if there are only 50 righteous people, no, I would not destroy the city. And then slowly Abraham works the number down, and he goes like down to 45, you know, and then he gets God down to 10, and God says, yeah, you know what, if there's only 10 righteous people, then I wouldn't destroy the city. God's showing a lot of care and kindness here, a lot of mercy. And then you go to the following chapter in Genesis 19, and then an angel comes down, and it's about to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And it says in Scripture that God did not destroy the town that Lot fled to. The angel instructed Lot to stay there in this town. Who knows how many people were there? And that town was spared. Sodom and Gomorrah was not presumably because there were no righteous people there. But this town that Lot fled to, God spared it. So it seems it's not just the case that God would spare an entire town for just 10 righteous people, but it seems like he would also spare a town if there was just one righteous person there. I think that's one of the takeaways here. And then if we go even further with that line of thinking, there is a call to action here. There's a call to action, I think, that God is trying to teach us, wherein when we find ourselves in very difficult situations that it's filled with chaos and wickedness and evil of all kinds, probably like this coronavirus. We are called to find the good within that evil. And it's so important that we spend our time in reflection, this time that we are given to spend in isolation and reflection. Doesn't mean that we can't have community. A community will just look different than it has in the past. We can spend that time to try to find the good in the evil that is here. And then we take it even one step further. I think part of the crux of this story is that this applies to people. Because we can't forget that when we view the Bible, we have to view it as a whole. It's never, you can never view verses in a vacuum. As much as I'm a fan of like memorizing Bible verses, and I have great admiration and respect for people who memorize tons of Bible verses, those verses were not meant to be appreciated, interpreted, and obeyed in a vacuum. And you can't isolate one scripture from the rest and hope to it. You can get some meaning by just investigating that particular scripture, devotionals and so on and so forth often take that approach, but there is merit in evaluating scripture within the entirety of scripture. So we can't forget that the first and second greatest commandments, the greatest things that we've ever been asked to do by God, are to love God and to love our neighbors as ourselves. And I think that it is a great lesson to be able to love our neighbors as ourselves when we can find it, when we can appreciate the possibility that there is good to be found within evil. No person is entirely evil. And I know that there have been some evil people to walk the earth. And maybe you're thinking of some people in your life right now. It's a hard call, but it's the call that we have. If we are called to this incredibly difficult task of finding the good in the evil that we find ourselves in, sometimes it's even evil that we ourselves orchestrated, so that makes it even tougher. If we are called to do that, obviously we are going to have to enact change in our lives. We ourselves have to undergo some sort of change, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Look at all the changes that we've already made in dealing with the coronavirus. Even after the coronavirus is just a memory, a lot of the changes that we are making in our lives right now are going to stick around. The way that America has continued to, over the course of its history, to endure adversity after adversity and to be able to adapt to it, to thrive.
By way of example, Hanes, everybody knows Hanes, great company, great consumer cotton products company, is retrofitting its manufacturing capabilities in large sections of their plants to produce masks.
To enable our medical care professionals to do the best job possible in treating patients with coronavirus. It's like, when I think about it, what is Hanes really known for? Hanes is known for like making shirts and like underwear. Okay, so and now they're going to like retrofit their factories to make a mask. It's crazy, and they make underwear. It's like I'm sure this is just me, but when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's like wearing underwear on your head. That's like, what a way to repurpose your clothing. And then you go into Pernod Ricard.
An example of the Pernod Ricard, which is, this is really an example where we're repurposing alcohol. They went out and repurposed their alcohol production capabilities in Arkansas, Kentucky, Texas, and West Virginia to make hand sanitizer.
Now, obviously, there's a lot of this that is financially motivated. It's a French alcohol. These companies are willing to adapt what it is that they are known for. They are breaking their routines. We need masks, so Hanes is making masks. We need hand sanitizer, so Pernod Ricard is making hand sanitizer. That's not what they were built for. That's not what their routines are. That's not what they're comfortable with, but they are doing it. They are making the adjustment. And I think that there's a lesson there for us as well. Jesus in Matthew 9 is getting hammered with these questions, about like, what the Pharisees fast all the time. How come your disciples don't fast, Jesus? And of course, Jesus responds by saying that, there is a time and place for everything, including fasting. A lot of times we get so consumed with our own survival, in doing the routines and the habits that got us to where we're at today. But in order to move forward, moving past this coronavirus, when the day comes that this coronavirus is no longer a thing, where will we be? Will we have taken the time and we have made the effort to adapt to this situation? This idea of intertwining our survival, Our personal survival with the ability to care for other people is something that is taught in Scripture. To love your neighbor as yourself, do unto others as you would have done unto you, carry each other's burdens. In the same way that Haynes and Pernod Ricard have repurposed their factories and their machinery to serve the greater good by meeting current needs, we can do the same thing by engaging in an act of change that repurposes our survival to serve. We can repurpose our survival to serve the greater good by meeting the current needs of the people around us. You can't say survive without saying serve. They go together. Serve-ive. Serve-ive. The idea of survival, of self-care, and service go hand in hand. At the end of your life, it's not just survival that we seek as human beings, it's also the quality of that survival. People say it all the time. We don't just want to survive, we want to thrive. In order for that to happen, we have to engage in a level of service. Because if all you do your entire lifetime is look after yourself, you're going to have a lot of regrets. It happens all the time. And vice versa, if all you do is serve all the time, you will run out of gas. There is a level of self-care that is needed. There is greater and greater attention being given to the roles of mental health and self-care and our abilities to live healthy lives. So let's tie all of this together. We want to be bringers of hope. Of course, we're always looking for hope, but as bringers of hope, as children of God, we want to be able to engage in a level of change that allows us, just like Haynes and Pernod Ricard did with their machinery, that allows us to repurpose our machinery physically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, to repurpose our machinery so that we can use our survival to be of service to others. And one of the greatest acts of service that we could engage in is by finding the good in the evil situations that we find ourselves in on a regular basis. And also to find the good in the people around us so that we can reach them for the sake of the gospel, so that we can reach them for God's kingdom and for God's glory. My prayer is that everyone would be safe and that you all would exercise discernment and that by engaging in an act of self-preservation, by being obedient to the quarantine protocols that are in place, we were actually, for the time being of service to the people around us. Peace.